The fluorescent lights buzzed softly overhead, casting a sterile glow over the otherwise empty office. Shadows lurked in the corners, and the faint hum of the air conditioning was the only sound breaking the silence. It was late, well past the standard 5 p.m., and the usual cacophony of keyboards and ringing phones had long faded. I was alone, save for one other person. Jenna, my colleague, was sitting a few desks down from me, her auburn hair catching the cold light as she leaned over her screen. I glanced at the clock on the wall. It read 7:15 p.m. I could have left with the others, but I was knee-deep in a project that had consumed my thoughts for weeks. And when I heard Jenna's soft footsteps approach, I couldn't help but feel a rush of unexpected excitement. "Still working, I see," she said, her voice a warm whisper in the silence. She moved closer, close enough that I could see the tiny flecks of gold in her hazel eyes. "You do know it's just us in here, right?" I nodded, feeling the warmth of her proximity wash over me. "Yeah, I'm almost done with this report." I gestured vaguely at the screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. But the truth was I couldn't focus, not with Jenna so close. She smiled, a fleeting curve of her lips that sent a strange flutter through my chest. "You know, you work better when it's just us," she said, her tone playful yet suggestive. The implication hung in the air between us, thick and palpable. I swallowed hard, trying to maintain my composure while my heart raced. "I suppose I do," I replied, a hint of nervous laughter escaping my lips. She leaned closer, her shoulder brushing against mine. The contact sent a jolt through me, a spark I hadn't anticipated. "What are you working on?" she asked, peering at my screen as if she were genuinely interested. I couldn't focus on the words swirling on the page. Instead, I was hyper-aware of her presence, the way her scent, a mix of vanilla and something floral, wrapped around me like a warm embrace. "Just some data analysis for the quarterly report," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Nothing too exciting." "Data analysis can be exciting," Jenna replied, her tone teasing, "especially when there are two of us to discover the story behind the numbers." I turned to face her fully, caught in the magnetic pull of her gaze. "You really think so?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light, but my heart was pounding in my chest. Her smile widened, and for a moment, the world around us faded away. "Absolutely. You just have to look at it the right way." She leaned even closer, her breath warm against my ear as she whispered, "We could look at it together." The suggestion was almost too much to bear. My mind raced with possibilities, but all I could manage was a weak nod. Jenna's presence was intoxicating, and I felt as if I were teetering on the edge of something thrilling and dangerous. "Let's run through the numbers together then," she said, her voice low and inviting. She settled into the chair beside mine, turning her body toward me, her thigh brushing against mine. It was a small gesture, but it ignited a fire within me. I shifted in my seat, trying to maintain some semblance of professionalism. "Okay, let's do it," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. As we dove into the data analysis together, Jenna's fingers grazed my arm as she pointed out trends and correlations. Each touch sent shivers up my spine, and I struggled to concentrate on the charts and graphs before us. Instead, I found myself captivated by her laughter, the way her eyes sparkled when she discovered something interesting, and the confidence she exuded with every word. "See," she said, her excitement palpable as she leaned closer. "This spike in the data could indicate a change in customer behavior. If we leverage this information, we could really push our campaign to the next level." I nodded, my mind racing to keep up with her brilliance. "You're right. If we target this demographic specifically," but I was losing track of my thoughts, my focus drifting back to her. She was so close, and the warmth radiating from her body was intoxicating. I could see the tiny freckles dusting her cheeks, the way her lips curled when she was engaged in a conversation, and the determination in her gaze that made my heart race. As we continued to analyze the data, the atmosphere shifted. The office felt more intimate, almost like a cocoon that enveloped us, separating us from the outside world. The dim lights cast a soft glow over everything, and the silence was no longer oppressive. It felt charged with possibility. "Do you ever feel like we're just going through the motions?" Jenna asked suddenly, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Like we're stuck in this routine, and it's hard to break out of it?" I turned to her, surprised by the depth of her question. "I guess," I said slowly, "sometimes it feels like we're just cogs in a machine." She nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Exactly, but I think we can change that. We just have to find a way to make our work meaningful again." I could sense the passion behind her words, and it resonated deep within me. "What do you suggest?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Let's brainstorm some ideas," she proposed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "We could start a project that inspires us, something that really excites us both. Could be our way of making a mark in this place." I considered her words, the vision of a shared project igniting a spark of ambition within me. "I like that idea," I said, feeling a rush of adrenaline. "But what do you have in mind?" Jenna leaned closer, her enthusiasm infectious. "What if we developed a campaign that focuses on local businesses? Something that highlights their stories and connects them with our brand? We could host events, create content that showcases their journey, and help our community thrive." Her idea was brilliant, and I found myself grinning at the thought of collaborating with her. "I love it. We could really make an impact." For a moment, we shared a smile, an unspoken understanding passing between us. The air was thick with excitement, and I could feel the energy crackling around us. But beneath the thrill of the idea lay something deeper, an undeniable connection that was slowly coming to the surface. Jenna pulled away slightly, her gaze lingering on my face. "I really think we could do this," she said, her voice softening. "It would feel good to work together on something that matters." "I agree," I replied, my heart pounding in my chest. "But we have to be careful. We're still colleagues, and I don't want to jeopardize our professional relationship." Her expression shifted, a hint of mischief in her eyes. "Who says we can't mix business with pleasure?" The words hung in the air, and my breath caught in my throat. I searched her gaze for any sign of hesitation, but all I found was a spark of daring that ignited a fire within me. It was as if we were standing on the precipice of something exhilarating and terrifying, and I was ready to leap. "Maybe you're right," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe we can find a way to do both." Jenna's smile widened, and in that moment, I felt a rush of courage. "Let's take the leap," she said, her eyes glinting with determination. "Together." The words resonated deep within me, and I reached for her hand instinctively. The contact sent a jolt of electricity through my body, and for a heartbeat, the world around us faded entirely. It was just us, two colleagues daring to step beyond the confines of professionalism. As the minutes stretched into an hour, we brainstormed ideas, our conversation flowing easily, filled with laughter and excitement. We bounced concepts off each other, each one sparking new thoughts and enthusiasm. The dim office felt alive, charged with possibilities, and I found myself leaning closer to Jenna with every exchange. But as the clock ticked on, the weight of the moment settled around us. The air crackled with tension, and I could feel the unspoken words lingering between us. I looked into her eyes, searching for the courage to speak what was on my mind. "Jenna," I began, my voice low and hesitant. "I don't want to ruin what we have, but I can't ignore this connection between us." She held my gaze, her expression a mix of vulnerability and strength. "I feel it too," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "And I don't want to ignore it either." The confession hung in the air, heavy with the weight of possibilities. I took a deep breath, my heart racing as I leaned in closer, the distance between us evaporating. So, what do we do about it? Jenna's breath caught in her throat, and for a moment, it felt as if the world had paused. Maybe we take that leap together, she suggested, her voice soft yet resolute. Our eyes locked, and in that moment, the uncertainty melted away. I reached out, brushing my fingers against her cheek, feeling the warmth of her skin beneath my touch. She leaned into my hand, her eyes fluttering closed for a brief second as if savoring the moment. And then, as if pulled by an unseen force, our lips met. The kiss was tentative at first, a gentle brush of warmth that ignited a fire between us. But as the seconds ticked by, it deepened, fueled by the passion and connection we had both been yearning for. When we finally pulled away, our breaths mingled in the cool air of the office. I searched her eyes, a mix of fear and exhilaration coursing through me. What does this mean for us? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Jenna smiled, a glint of mischief in her gaze. It means we embrace this connection and see where it takes us. Together. As we sat there, surrounded by the dim glow of the office, I knew that this was only the beginning. Together we would push boundaries, both in our work and in our hearts. And as the night deepened around us, I felt a sense of hope blossom within me, knowing that whatever lay ahead, it would be worth taking that leap together.